Hello everyone. Previously we had discussed on the topic lists, right? So we were done with the basically basic concepts on the Python. Certain important concepts we had discussed, right? So we were done with the this one basic concepts. So today we'll be discussing on the certain OOP concepts in the Python. OOP means object-oriented programming concepts in the Python, right? So first let's discuss about the classes, right? So here let's get into the definition part first. What is a class? Basically a class in Python is a blueprint for creating the objects, nothing but the instances that encapsulate data and the behavior. Again, a class in Python is a blueprint for creating objects. Just keep this in mind, nothing but the instances that encapsulate data and behavior, right? So it defines properties, nothing but the variables, and methods, nothing but the functions, under a single logical unit. Again, it defines properties and methods under a single logical unit, right? So I hope the definition part is completely clear, man, right? So let me tell you some things before discussing the simple example, right? So basically classes are defined using the class keyword. So basically classes are defined using the class keyword, and it typically includes a constructor in it. So usually when we are defining the class, we will be going with a init keyword. So just keep this in mind, we will be going with a init keyword, this one, right? So init keyword, so to initialize the object data, just remember this one. Typically it includes a constructor, nothing but the init, to initialize the object data. You have to remember this one, right? So just keep this in mind. And variables inside a class are called attributes and functions are called methods. Again, variables inside a class are called attributes, right? And the functions are called methods, right? So it promotes code reusability, modularity, and the encapsulation, right? Variables inside a class are called attributes and functions are called methods. It promotes code reusability, modularity, and the encapsulation. So this is it about the classes. Let me paste this one. So here you can just go through this one, right? So you can just go through this one. This is the important concept, right? So defined using the class keyword and typically includes the constructor in it. As I've showed, variables inside a class are also called as attributes and the functions are called methods, and it promotes code reusability, modularity, and the encapsulation, right? So let's get into the example part here. First let's define a class named person. So I'll just go with class. So I'll just go with a class name person, right? So the next part here would be, let's go with a constructor method that gets called when an object is created, right? So usually what it says here, typically classes use a constructor in it, right? So let's copy this one and let me paste it over here, right? So we are going with a constructor method that gets called when an object is created, right? So in it, so we are going with a constructor part, right? So I'll just go with a self comma name comma age as parameters, right? So this is fine. So the next part here would be self refers to the current object. Self refers to the current object, nothing but self refers to the current object. Assign and name, assign and name, right? So again, self, nothing but it refers to the current object, and we have assign, we have to assign the name basically, right? So age is nothing but we have to assign the age, right? So I'll just go with here self dot name equals name. So this is fine. And one more thing, we have to assign the age as well, right? So self, basically it refers to the current object, so I'm giving self dot age here. Self dot age, this one, let me give age. We are just initializing here, this is fine. So this is fine, man. Yeah. Now let's go with a method to display information about that particular person, right? So I can just go with def. I'll just go with show info here. Show info. Let me call self here. Self, right? So this is fine. Hmm. And let's print something. Let's go with a name and age here. So I'll just go with a print. So here it will be name. Here it will be name. I'll just call here self dot whatever, what all the things we have, name and age, right? So I'll just go with a name, self dot name. So this is fine. Yep. So I have to give comma here, I think. So that is the reason it is screaming here. It is showing this thing right here. So now this should be gone. This is fine. Next, let me go with one more print statement here. So this is fine. This, let me give age here. So this is fine. Let me go with self dot age. So we are done with the method. We are done with the show info method basically. So this is nothing but the show info method, and this is nothing but the we are going with a class named person, right? So we are naming the class named person. This is nothing but the constructor part. Only the syntax part is different. We have discussed this one in the JavaScript and Java. Only the syntax part is different. So class, this one person, we are going with the class name person. This is nothing but the constructor part. This is nothing but the constructor part, and this is nothing but the method. Functions inside the classes are always called as methods. We know this one. You can just call this one as function, but it is better to call this one as methods, right? Usually we call this one methods, right? So we're done with this part. So now let's do one thing. We have to create an object, nothing but the instance, right? So we have to create an object of the person class. So let me give here p1 equals, uh let me go with person. So here I'll just give the name Bharadwaj here, and age, let me give here 31. Age, let me give here 31, right? So this is fine. And now let's call the method to show the person info. Let's call the method to show the person info. So I'll just go with p1 dot method, this one. Let me copy this one. We have the show info method, right? So let me copy this one, paste it over here, p1 dot show info. We are calling the method, so parenthesis, right? So this we are done with the example part. So when we run the code, we have to get the output. So name, self dot name I have given here. Self dot name is nothing but Bharadwaj. We have to get the output Bharadwaj. And for the age, we have given self dot age, nothing but here uh, age we have to get 31. Bharadwaj and 31. Name Bharadwaj, age 31. That's what we need to get here, right? So let me run the code. Let me give here Python. So this one will be, let me come here. Let me copy this one, come here. Let me copy the file name here. Let me paste it over here and give .py. So we are, what happened here? Somewhere we have done something wrong, man. Person, 1 second, man. Did C uses class and person. So what is wrong here? I have given p1 equals person. Let me hit the format document, 1 second. So let me give us one, what error we have here. In person, just give me a second here. So let me do one thing here. So here I have misspelled info. Let me give info here, and I think the indentation part is wrong here. So let me give p1 dot here, and also let me do this one. So yeah, now let me try to run this one again. Let me give clear screen here. Still we have this one error. What error we are getting here? Line number 24, the last one, most recent call loss. In the module, person object has no attribute show, or this one has to be info as well. So n I had forgotten. So now this has to work, right? So let me, okay, yeah, name Bharadwaj and age 31. So this was basically the indentation problem, right? So gave I had misspelled info both here and in the line number 18 and 24. It was not the problem, basically it was the indentation problem, right? So this is fine, man. Now this works absolutely correct, right? So I hope the concept of classes or the class is completely clear, right? Basically, right? This is it for the classes. Next, what we'll be doing here, next we'll be discussing about the objects, right? So next we'll be discussing about the objects. So let me summarize what we have learned till now, right? So we can make use of classes just to group the related data and the functions together. So that's what we are doing here, right? So we are making use of the method info, nothing but the function, right? So we can make use of the classes to group related data and the functions together. And also we can define the classes with a class keyword and use init to set the initial data. Init is nothing but the initialization is done. This is nothing but the constructor part. If you have if you are good with Java or the JavaScript, this is nothing but, or CPP, so this is nothing but the initialization part, right? So the constructor part, init initialization, right? So we are defining the class keyword and the use, uh, we can just make use of the init to set the initial data, right? So nothing but the initialization part. Then we can create the objects to access the data or methods inside the class. We can create the objects. See here, we can create the objects to access the data or methods inside the class. Methods nothing but this one, show info. This is a method. That's what we are doing here, right? So this is the simple summary, right? So next we'll be discussing about the objects. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.